renewable energy economy and better our education system. As co-chair of the Bipartisan Military Veterans Caucus, he led the effort to improve treatment options for service members suffering post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. He's authored bills to help veterans find work as they make the transition back to civilian life. And as someone who went to college on the GI Bill himself, he helped lead the effort in Congress to pass the 21st century GI Bill. As chair of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force, Mike worked to enact the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the most impactful gun violence prevention law to be enacted in nearly 30 years. As an avid outdoorsman, Mike is committed to preserving our district's beautiful lands. Throughout his time in elected office, he's worked to permanently protect and conserve 4.75 million acres of land. And he wrote the most consequential piece of legislation ever signed into law to combat climate change. He's working to preserve Social Security, Medicare, and veterans benefits, pass comprehensive immigration reform, strengthen our national security, protect women's reproductive and LGBTQ rights. He is the owner of a small vineyard and was the maintenance supervisor for the Behringer Winery. He's taught public administration and state government at San Francisco State University and California State University in Chico. He received his Master's of Public Administration from California State University, Chico. Yeah. And he is married to Janet Thompson, who we just met today, and we're really happy that she's here with us. They have 2 sons, a firefighter and a deputy sheriff, and 3 wonderful granddaughters. So I will give the microphone over to Mike now.
Can you hear me without the microphone? Yeah. Let's do that. Shelley and Greg, thank you for the nice introduction. Long. And thanks for opening your beautiful property for this. This is a great spot. So. Heidi, good to see you. Thank you for all of you Democrats that came out. I called and asked to come up and meet with folks for 2 reasons. Probably 3, to be honest with you. The one I almost skipped over was the most important reason we're all here, and that is to preserve our democracy and make sure the United States of America gets back on the right track. But I also wanted to come up and talk with you because of Prop 50, and I think everyone recognizes how important that is. I'm not sure that it's fully been discussed as to all of the implications if that measure doesn't pass. We know that it's on the ballot because this president called the governor of Texas and said, "Steal 5 House seats for me." Because, as you know, these guys aren't going to be known for the best public policy that's ever passed the Congress. And it's starting to catch up with them. And they know going into the midterms, it's going to be tough. And they knew that before they passed this big ugly bill, because the issues that affect so many Americans don't even go into effect until after the election. You heard from Shelley, I've been in Washington since 1998, and I was in the Senate before that, so I know a couple of things. One of which is, if you truly have a big, beautiful bill, you want that thing out in front of the voters before the next election. you don't want to make sure it kicks in after the election. So they know they're in trouble. They need those 5 seats in order to ensure that they can keep the majority in the House. Because if the Democrats win, that's a game changer. We take over the agenda. No bill goes on the House floor unless Democrats say it goes on the House floor. We'll have subpoena power, be able to look into some of this nonsense that they're doing. So they get it. The thing that's not being talked about too much, and I'll mention it, it doesn't need a lot of explanation, but the next president of the United States may in fact be determined by what happens in this next House election. You all remember January 6th when the Republicans and this current president tried to decertify the election results in the presidential election. That's what they were trying to do with all of the overrunning the Capitol and the disruptions and the riots and the insurrection, whatever you want to call it. They wanted to not certify the Electoral College results. And they've got that in their mind now also. And if they can do that in this next election, the way it works is the presidential election is then determined by the House of Representatives. It'll go on the floor and each state gets a vote. So California will get 1 vote. New York will get 1 vote. So will Alaska, Alabama, Mississippi, Utah, South Carolina, Texas. You get the idea. So if there's not a Democratic majority in that House to stop that from happening, it could very well play out and change the course of history and most certainly change who represents this country as Commander-in-Chief, Chief Executive, President of the United States. And that's dangerous. So Prop 50 is important for a bunch of reasons, none the least of which is the future of our country, our democracy, and our livelihoods are in the way of our target in all of this. So thank you for understanding that. Thank you for the work that you're doing to ensure that Prop 50 passes. It is important. Now, to that third reason, I represent a district in California that I love. It's part of Sonoma County, all of Napa, all of Lake, part of Solano, part of Yolo County. I love it. I've represented all or part of that county for most of the time I've been in public office. And I love the district. I love the people in that district. It's very convenient to drive from where we live, where Jan and I live in Napa Valley, to Sonoma or to Lake or to Solano or to Yolo. So it's pretty compact. I've had districts that have gone from Yolo to Crescent City. I've had districts that have gone from Santa Rosa to Siskiyou. This one's a comfortable district to represent, and I love the people in the district. And you know, I don't want to give away an inch of it, and I don't want to give away one single constituent. But Prop 50 is so important. When we sat down to figure out how we draw these lines to ensure that we could pick up 5 seats, I said, count me in. I'll do whatever I need to do. And the other thing that made it easy for me is I knew that in the new district, I'm going to love every inch of it, and I'm going to love every person in it, just as much as I love the district that I have now. And so that's why I called around and said, I think I should start visiting Sutter and Yuba and Placer and Sacramento County, districts, counties that I haven't represented before, and that's what brings me here today, to promote Prop 50 and to let you know that I'm excited about our new congressional district that all of us will share, and to let you know that I'm going to work really hard for all of you, as I have in every congressional district that I've ever represented. Now, a little background. I think Shelley talked a lot about it, but I've been in Congress since 1998. I've worked my way into a position where I sit on the most important committee in the United States Congress. the only committee, and I don't say that because that's the committee I'm on. I say that because it's the only committee that is dictated by our Constitution. The Ways and Means Committee is where it all starts. And we have jurisdiction over taxation. That's how we figure out the means to pay for the ways. Through the tax process. We have jurisdiction in the health space for Medicare. We have trade. We do all the trade work, which is incredibly important right now, especially with this self-inflicted tariff war that this guy has brought for us. We have Social Security, and I would be willing to bet that there's not a single person here that doesn't understand how valuable that is, not only to us personally, but to the areas in which we live, especially rural areas. You know, every Social Security dollar that comes into any of the counties in our district is mostly spent right there in that county. I'm sure there's probably one or two of you who have Cayman Islands secret bank accounts. You send your money there, but most people spend it. They pay their house payment, their rent, their utilities, their groceries, whatever it might be. So there's millions of dollars in every county in our district that comes from Social Security checks that multiplies across and throughout our county. So it's incredibly important. And we also have social service jurisdiction also in some of the social programs that the federal government is responsible. And I'm up pretty high on that committee, which is important. Seniority is extremely important. If the courts don't overturn the Texas redistricting maps, the only person between me and the top Democrat is from Texas, and he has said that he's going to retire. So not only am I in a very senior and important position now, but it looks like I'll be moving up to at least one seat when that happens too. And I can tell you that's important for our district. It gives you just a little bit more ability to get things done for the district. And we're going to need to get some things done. I alluded to these cuts in the big ugly bill. I can't think of any of them that are more important, especially to rural areas, than the healthcare cuts. And when you have a population, county population where 50% relies on Medicaid for healthcare, there's no way you can make that up. It is just devastating, and it's not just for Medicaid recipients. It's for everybody. Because I've been told everywhere I go by the healthcare experts that if this thing passes, and it did, and if it's signed into law, and it was, one of two things happens. Either the hospital, the rest home, the skilled nursing facility closes the doors, ceases to operate, or they make cuts to keep the doors open. So if you have the best insurance in the world, or if you have a pocket full of gold and you can buy any type of health care you need, when you show up at the emergency room, if the person that you need to save your life is the person that was laid off so they could keep the doors open, you're in trouble. This is serious stuff that they are perpetrating on the American people. And those are things we're going to have to fix. We're going to have to change that and get it back to where it needs to be. Shelley mentioned that I'm responsible for the most consequential climate change legislation to ever pass. And she was right. It was part of the Inflation Reduction Act bill that we passed that President Biden signed into law. The bill was my bill. It was called the Green Act, and it used the tax code to speed up investment in renewable energy. They came in, and on one vote, they got rid of all of that work that we had done. And it was incredibly important. It was just the time that had been part of the law was responsible for about $400 billion worth of private sector investment in renewable energy projects throughout our country. About 400,000 jobs done, absolutely done. And to give you an idea what that means, when we came back for the August recess, We came back a little early because the speaker, Mike Johnson, sent us home a week early because they needed time without us there to look for the Epstein files. I think it was the second meeting. The first meeting I had was on healthcare because the healthcare community is they're losing their minds over what's going to happen. Second meeting was with my alma mater, and not the Harvard of the West, Chico State, but where I went to school growing up, St. Helena Unified School District. They had a signed contract, and they were ready to start building a solar installment at the elementary, the primary, the junior high, and the high school campus, all 4 campuses. It was going to do a number of things, including not a major part of it, but certainly not a minor part. The solar installation at the high school was going to go alongside of the high school / community swimming pool that has 0 shade. So not only were they going to get renewable energy, but they were going to get shade also. And they were going to save about $300,000 a year on energy costs. When this president signed the big ugly bill into law, they literally pulled the plug on that investment. And it's just foolish. Not only is it foolish for the contribution it makes to a clean environment, a healthy environment, but we need energy. We desperately need energy. And the more AI and the more crypto that comes online, the more we're going to need. And the only appreciable increase in energy development in the last 15 years has been through renewable energy. And they just ended all of that stuff. So this is a terrible bill. This is a terrible Congress. This is a terrible president. And we need to push back. We need to redistrict our state. We need to flip the House. And I see a path to victory in flipping the Senate as well, because of some things that have happened. We need to put this guy in check. Stop him from doing the nonsense that he's doing, and then we need to start working on how we get things back online. And I'm here to tell you, that's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fast. It's not going to be easy. So I look forward to us winning Prop 50. I look forward to winning my next election and having the great honor and pleasure of representing all of you in the United States Congress. We're going to have a great congressional district, believe me. It's going to be fun. And from what I've seen so far, it's going to be fun working with all of you to make sure we move in the right direction and realize that our better days are ahead of us. So thank you all very much. And we're doing questions second.
Well, Bill's going to do something first, and then we'll get to questions, okay?
All right, whatever you like.
Shelley's the boss.
Here, we thought our school committee would offer you a hat. So we can remember who we are. Hope it's adjustable, but I had some wine all the way out. It's nice to hear you, definitely. Yeah, that's what I heard.
And my son's a cop. Our son's a cop.
Where at?
He's a Democrat also.
Good to hear that.
Good to hear it.
What kind of?
Napa County.
Oh, yeah, they have Democrats. They didn't have too many Yuba. Huh? Yeah. Wait for it. And I didn't. On behalf of our committee, here, have a hat. Wear it proud.
All right.
Come here.
Take the price tag.
She's channeling Minnie Pearl.
What about that?
Got it?
No, I didn't. Bill.
You gotta get a photo over here.
You get both. All do this together.
Yeah, that's
I spotted another person that I was going to our fearless leader and guru of the current CD3, and she's a Northern California organizer that works for the Democratic Party. So I'm really glad that you could make it here, Sue. Thank you.
If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know what your thoughts are about this Department of War, because it seems to me that Trump is going to war against American citizens.
Everybody hear the question?
You know what?
The question is my thoughts on this president wanting to go to this Department of War. I think it's stupid. I think it tracks perfectly with him, his personality, and his game plan. He wants to scare the hell out of everybody. He's doing a real good job at that. He's alienated all of our friends in foreign countries. He's got people scared to death. I was at an event on Friday night at home in Napa County with vintners, and that we were talking about the immigration problems that we're having. And one of the vintners, and I know the guy's a Republican, he said, you know, this immigration stuff, this isn't just hurting our business, this isn't just hurting our workforce and our ability to pick our grapes and make our wine. So people in our community, our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues, our workers, they're scared to death. They don't go to the store, they don't go to the movies, they don't go to the football games, and you know, you can shoot a cannon down Main Street in my hometown because people are afraid to go out, and it's hurting everything. But this is what he does. This is who he is. He's not collaborative. He doesn't look for allies. He doesn't look to solve problems. He looks to come into the China shop as the bull. And I think that's bad policy. And I've been to war. I got shot up in war. And believe me, I don't give a single speech about on Veterans Day, on any other military event where I don't somewhere work in my favorite John Kennedy work. Remember him? John Kennedy said, mankind must find a way to put an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. And that's the sort of Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sure I don't need a microphone. I'm wondering, you know, my son works in D.C. He's a chef at a restaurant there, and what I see on the news with, you know, the daily protests, and now Chicago, awesome. Oh my gosh, the turnout. But I'm wondering, do you think these mobilized citizens are going to have any effect at all?
I do. I think, and as you probably know, I don't know how it's been up here, but I know throughout my district, since this guy's been elected, the question has always been, what are Democrats doing? You need to do more. How do you stop this? I've had at town halls people screaming at me, you need to arrest Elon Musk. And I understand it. I mean, I'm upset about it, and I'm always trying to figure out something else that we can do. Well, we figured out what that is. It's called Prop 50. That we can get out and make that work. But I've always said that, you know, we're fighting this guy in three different spaces. One in the Congress, where we're doing everything possible. You know, I mentioned my seat on Ways and Means. When the big ugly bill came to Ways and Means, and that's one of the, I think Ways and Means is probably the biggest jurisdiction on that bill. But we worked, I think, for 27 hours around the clock for two reasons. One, we didn't want to sneak this thing through in the middle of the night. People needed to see what it was. They needed to see how people voted. And two, we needed to create a comparison. This is what we're for, and this is what they're tearing down. People needed to see that. So we had, I think it was 30 votes, 30 amendments. So people know, and they got a good look at it. Vern Buchanan from Florida walked out of the hearing, and the press stopped him, and they said, "You just voted to strip all of the renewable energy out of this bill, and you have a, listen to this, They said, you have a $6 billion renewable energy project in your district. Can you imagine a member of Congress bringing home $6 billion and then voting to throw it away? And Buchanan's response was, I'm hoping the Senate will fix it. So we did a good job of compare and contrast, right? And we're fighting in the courts, and you guys have been following that. And we've won some, we've lost some are pending, some are on appeal. That's not going to solve everything, but it's a very important part of it. And then the other area is in the court of public opinion. Yeah, we need to be in the streets. We need to be having these protests. We need to be having these marches. As I told, I think it was in Sonoma County, we had 5,000 people on the square in Santa Rosa on this. And what I told them was, yeah, it works. We saw it work in the civil rights movement. My friend and former colleague John Lewis, the stories that he would relive for us were just incredible. And we saw how voter participation really changes things. We saw it in Roe v. Wade before these clowns flipped it. And as I told the people at the square in Santa Rosa, it got my ass out of Vietnam. So it's real powerful. When you have constituents, members of Congress, their ears perk up when they hear their constituents talking. So it is very, very important.
That's good to hear.
So, as a representative, being in the trenches and, anyway, as a rep, being in the trenches, close to all of this, in your opinion, what do you think are the chances that this passes? Prop 50, California. Are there enough people you think that are awake enough, angry enough, or whatever to see this through?
No, that's why it's important that you have to go out and work. And this is just like any campaign. I've run a number of campaigns, both for myself and for other people, and I have one steadfast rule. You run one of two ways: unopposed or like you're 10 points behind. It's the same thing with this. And probably on this one, with the amount of money that Charlie Munger is going to dump in this, and Arnold Schwarzenegger out there, we need to be running like we're 30 points behind. So that's why it's critically important that we do everything we can.
Is that anti-50?
No, they did not. Yeah, they've issued a statement. They were not the ones that put that on. They were misquoted a bunch of that. I want to be very clear that not that.
But I think it's illustrative of what we're going to have to go against. They're going to lie. They're going to mislead. They're going to do anything they can, because remember, this isn't about the nonpartisan independent commission. These guys didn't want that. And they if you remember what happened in California, when you took the partisanship out, they lost a ton of seats. So they're not, all of a sudden they love the commission. BS. As my mother would say, because Napa Valley used to grow a lot of prunes, they're full of prunes. And this is prune country. You know what that means.
Yeah. And I wasn't late today because I was watching the Raiders. I just was running over to get dressed, and there it was.
Yep. And that's why this is going to be a $200 million campaign. And the one thing that you can't buy, you can buy all the TV and all the news, you can't buy the ground game. That's where we need to win. So if I can quote somebody who is my political hero in life, Nancy Pelosi, don't agonize or vote.
Sign up to canvas on the table. That's the ground game.
Yes. Postcards. How do you feel about the roadless rule?
The roadless rule?
The roadless rule, and whether or not you think it will pass.
Do you know what the road
I know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
It's an attempt by our Republicans in Congress to open up wilderness area, and it's a real assault against habitat and pretty important pieces of real estate. As was mentioned, I take great pride in the fact that I've had two measures. One that went through the regular process, regular order in Congress. When in a Republican House, it passed the Natural Resources Committee, chaired by Richard Pombo, who was an anti-public lands guy. It passed the House, passed the Senate, and George W. Bush signed it into law. It was the North Coast Wilderness Act, and my bill protected 370,000 acres on the north coast of California. My second piece of legislation didn't do so well with the Republicans, but thank God we got a guy named Barack Obama in the White House, and I went to him and convinced him that he needed to use the Antiquities Act to put in place the Berryessa Snow Mountain Wilderness Area. And then later, John Garamendi and I expanded it by another 19,000 acres. So my bill was, I think, was 360,000. So now it's about 380,000. So I'm big on that stuff. And I also represented the North Coast of California for years, and believe that there is that timber is important. It's jobs, it's forest management, but it needs to be done the right way. These guys are trying to get rid of roadless areas so they can open up areas so they can take more of our natural resources and exploit those natural resources.
Well, it's supposed to happen quite soon, though.
Pardon me?
It's supposed to happen quite soon.
Yeah.
The vote, like the 19th, I think.
And these guys, these are the ones that under Mike Lee wanted to sell off. What was it, 250 million acres of publicly owned property? It's bad.
Right.
And I'll do everything I can. I would guess that they've got the best chance they've ever had now to get it passed.
So how do we, there's always that fight as far as this whole redistricting, how your footprint goes up into Placer and everything. How do we argue that with people that want to, stand for the no on 50? Because, it does look a little odd or...
Well, I think there's different things that you can say. You can explain we're doing this because Texas is trying to steal 5 seats, and we're not going to unilaterally disarm.
Right.
This isn't something that we didn't bring this fight, to the table. They did, and we're going to fight it.
Right.
And that's a good argument as far as the people who have been demanding that we do more to push back against this guy.
Yeah. I mean, is it true what we're reading as far as Texas screwed up and what they did was actually more democratic in their votes, or is that just propaganda?
It's going to be tough for our friends in Texas. And now you have an added argument that you can use with your friends. You can say, "Hey, I met Mike Thompson. He's going to be good for us."
So I'm concerned about it getting through there. I live out in Oroville. If you're from here, you know what Oroville is.
Right.
The hill, right? Those people aren't going to go for, well, Texas did it, so we're trying to do it. Because they're scared. They don't like change. I keep seeing ads on the phone, on YouTube and stuff. Don't let them take away our right to vote. That's what's going into their head. Those evil Democrats are going to make us be like them. You guys have to take a different aspect to it. You need to say, we don't want to make you change. We want to give you options. They're afraid. They're afraid of people like you coming and saving the wilderness. They want to save the wilderness. They want better things for their kids. They want all the same things, but you're demonized. And you know what? No matter how much you say, well, Texas did it, so we're trying to be equal, that's not going to work with them. You got to tell them it's okay. We're not going to make things change for you. We're giving you options. But they are afraid of change. Those people out there, backwards as AF, you know? and they are afraid, and the only time they get out to vote is when they are afraid. I would love to have you be my representative again. I used to live over Napa and Sonoma. But, you know, and what they do in Oroville, give themselves $60,000 raises, and they should be putting up solar over Walmart's parking lot to give more energy. They need somebody who can think, rather than somebody who can just rip them off. I don't plan to stay in Oroville. I'm going back to somewhere blue, the Chico, but there's still people there that need help. But they're afraid of change. They're afraid the big bad blue bully that's going to come and make their kids gay. That's what they're afraid of. That's their reality.
No, you're absolutely right. As far as we don't want you to take our choice away. We didn't. Texas did it. Texas did it within the legislature. What California's done is drawn the map and put it out and said, here's the map.
I
So
understand,
let the
but
voters decide.
you have to make it. You have to frame, because I haven't seen any ads for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any ads out there.
Yeah, you need to frame it as in a way where don't be claiming, don't blame not, but say we want to give you choices. We don't want to change things for you. We want to let you decide. That's what they need. Is
I
they
think
need to
you'll
feel
see
power.
that once the campaign launches.
Have you heard of any other states that are willing to do this redistricting, or is it just California?
Yeah, there'll be other states. Some ours, some theirs. So this
Well, I know theirs are already talking it. So.
it's not done yet, and it didn't just start with Texas and California. You know, we have the narrowest majority in the House since I think the Depression, a 3-seat majority. And if you remember, North Carolina redistricted right before the last election, and they took away 3 Democratic seats. So that's how this works. They took away, and the Republicans won by 3 seats. Had that not happened, they would not be in the majority right now.
So why don't the Democrats put out more advertising like the Republicans are doing in regards to Proposition 50? Because there are no rebuttals from the Democrats regarding these commercials they keep pushing out. Why haven't they done like Newsom does? Just mocks Trump. Why don't they just mock the commercials? Like the Democrats are taking away this. Why don't the Democrats say the Republicans are taking away your rights?
As I said, the campaign hasn't launched yet, fully launched yet. So it's all coming. It just hasn't started yet.
Yeah, speaking of campaigns, if anyone's interested, starting next Saturday in this county, we are going to start banging on doors and handing out flyers.
Okay.
All right? So, we're not sitting by doing nothing, okay? We started Monday, we're starting to fire off a bunch of postcards. And if you signed up your thing on one of our flyer things, we will contact you. And feel free to join us. We're going to hit the rural areas up here, kind of sparse, knocking on doors, but we've got Marysville, we've got Linda, Edgewater, we got Poonis Lake, Wheatland. The places are growing, they got lots of doors, and believe it or not, there's a lot of closet There's a lot of closet Democrats in this area. And I've looked at these charts and go, wow, where are all these Democrats? They sure didn't vote last time. So feel free, we'll have the stuff here. Anybody stop and ask me, I'll take care of you and tell you where to go. If you got a phone, internet, whatever, we can fix you up. Oh, is that for me?
There's also, we're going to be doing yes on. We're also doing yes on 50 banners over freeway overpass. So
Yes, you sign up to hold a banner.
sign up to.
So don't leave without leaving us your email or something. We'll be in touch.
When's our next
Oh, phone
rally?
banking. That's another option we have.
When is our next rally?
The
21st.
21st of September.
So come on down to Washington Square in Marysville.
And then we're having No King's Day 2.0 in November?
October
October.
18th.
Sorry. And So feel free. And the next thing is phone banking. You can sit at home, you got a computer, got a smartphone. We can hook you up with that, and you call people and say, yes on 50, yes on 50, please vote. It's easy, it's simple. Even me, as bad as I am with the computer, you can ask my other half how bad I am. I managed to run a phone bank last time. So it's not hard to do. So rather than sit around and say, what are we doing? We're throwing it back at you to do something. So appreciate anything you could do. We would like you to participate. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So Kevin Todd is the current rep for this.
Sorry.
And any thoughts about how best to combat him and just any insight on that?
Yeah, number one, Prop 50. Number two, clone Eric Swalwell. I don't know if you've been watching Swalwell on Kylie, but he's on him every day. It's fun to watch. And if the district stays how it is, you're right here's the answer.
Yay!
Heidi's pretty amazing, you know. She's been able to navigate the Republican county board that she's on. She's been able to work and build majority votes to do things that are good for her county. Highly respected amongst both Democrats and Republicans in her county. And I'd rather have half of her than 10 pilots.
That's impossible.
Medicare and Social Security and that's, you know, it always feel like that.
Yeah, they all lie. You know, they're repeatedly saying that it doesn't make these cuts in healthcare, everybody's going to be fine. And, you know, at the same time, the doctor, the clinic director, the hospital administrator stands up and says, if this thing passes, we close our hospital or we fire a whole bunch of people. You can't take $1 trillion out of healthcare and everything's going to be fine. So we just need to keep, you know, putting it out there, letters to the editor, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. I'm happy if you have a local newspaper you'd like an op-ed for, let me know. I'd be happy to do that.
How about our military? Our military is going to be used against us. Is there some like letter writing or something that we could do to personally to the military folks, kids that are in there, because they're getting brainwashed by all this, you know, Fox News and whatnot.
Yeah, you know, our military leaders know the law. And we have to have some trust that they're going to abide by the law. But at the same time, where they say, you know, trust but cut the cards, we can cut the cards by making sure we flip the house.
They
And
just
that
fired
will
all the
provide the
honest
insurance
generals.
that we need.
Are we sort of banking on the coastal elites to pass Prop 50? San Francisco, LA, the Bay Area, you know, the millions of people that, for example, Gallagher wanted to split the state along those lines, but it seems to me that they need to be really mobilized to do this.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that the split the state thing has come up.
Well, I know that.
When I was in the legislature, Stan Statham was going to split it north.
Right.
And then the state of Jefferson, that movement takes a handful of counties in the north and moves them to their own state.
Jefferson, right in here.
And then this Kiley thing, his map splits it going north to south.
Right.
Yeah, it's
No, Gallagher. It's Gallagher.
I'm sorry. The fact is, there are a lot more Democrats. That's why they want to do it on the coastal side.
Right.
But we need all the Democrats.
Yeah.
And we're going to be mobilized. Those coastal counties will be mobilized. Interior counties will be mobilized. There's a lot of dislike for the person who's behind all of this. And I think we use that to mobilize and to win. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you inviting me today. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I would certainly appreciate your consideration for support in my candidacy to run to represent this bigger area than I represent now. So
Mike,
thank you all very much.
did you tell us when the redistricting would take effect?
It would take effect for the next election after the November. If it passes, when it passes in November, it takes effect.
On November or whatever.
For the election, it's going to have to. We have to go through the primary and the general election.
And what if it doesn't pass? Do you feel that there's still a possibility that
It's got to pass. There's no what if it doesn't.
There's our congresswoman sitting right there next to us.
We have time for a group photo if everyone wants to do that.
Yes, okay, good, let's do it.
Where do you want to do that?
Let's do it right in front of the Yuba Democratic Central Committee banner.
Cool.
Who do you want up there?
Everybody.
Everyone!
Please get more food, everybody.
Yes.